Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Careful for Spoilers. I am your host James Barnes, and today guys I'm joined once again by my co-hosts Lola and Brad as we talk about the first installment of one of the best action movie trilogies of all time, John Wick. Now, before we dive into the episode, I would love to talk to you guys about our new show, Best One, Worst One. It's our Patreon exclusive show where we take a look at your favorite movies, actors, directors, and a variety of other topics, and we ask you to choose the best one and the worst one. Our first two episodes are available for free right now on all podcast platforms, and you can access our weekly episodes every Monday for patrons at the $3 tier or higher. So head on over to patreon.com/C4Spoilers to listen to this podcast and get access to even more exclusive content. Now, with all of that out of the way, Brad, Lola, I am so excited to start this John Wick series with you guys, starting with the first film, the one that started it all, John Wick.
I'm very excited.
Oh yeah, this is one of my favorite franchises ever.
I'm surprised, I'm not surprised at how much I like it, but I'm surprised at how long it took me to watch it. And once I watched it, it was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I am here for you.
Brad, did you see it in theaters?
I did.
Okay, so I missed it. Being completely honest, I saw the movie. I'm like, I love Keanu, but I don't know if I want to take time out of my busy schedule to watch this action movie that might be generic. Mm-hmm. And then I saw it on Blu-ray in Best Buy, and I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to pick it up. It's Keanu. Yeah. I'm just going to get it. I saw it, and I was fucking blown away. I see this movie at least twice a year since I saw it the first time. It is easily one of the best action movies of all time. John McClane is one of my favorites, right? But John Wick is just on another level.
You gotta get yourself a John, you know? That's weird that I said that.
No, there's always a John in an action movie.
There's always a John.
There's John McClane in, what is it, Commando. His name is John Matrix.
Yeah.
Like, there's always a John.
John Connor, John Wick. It's like, okay, I guess I'm going to name my kid John if I want him to, like, really defend himself in public.
You know what? And that's what I like about John Wick. I think it takes the best of those, like, mid to late 80s, 90s references and stylistic things, updates it to the modern era, and we have this incredible action franchise directed by the stunt double of Keanu from The Matrix with the second unit director, and they've been doing a lot of different projects together, and they came together to do this, and this franchise is hands down has the best like hand-to-hand sequences ever, gun sequences, anything. I think this franchise has the best out of them all.
There's so many times when I was watching John Wick, because I've seen it a lot since the first time I saw it. So I was like, oh my god, this is so good. Where you think in your head, this would be so boring to just have action scene after action scene after action scene in certain other movies that you've seen like that. But it never gets boring in John Wick. And I think it's a tribute to the guys that made the film being stunt actors, and not stunt actors per se, but working in the stunt community for so long. They bring a little something different and new to each scene. They use a car as a weapon multiple times in the film, and it is awesome every time they do it.
Yeah. That's a great point. So they continue that throughout the rest of the movies. They add ways for John to kill people. It's always interesting. It's always better than what you saw before, which is super unique because usually in sequels you just get the same shit over and over.
When have you ever seen someone killed with a book before?
Right?
Like, it's amazing.
Like, spoilers, but light spoilers. In John Wick Chapter 3, he uses a fucking horse to kill someone. Like, it's nuts. Like,
for those of us with horse fear, it was a strange scene.
Die Hard 2 is a carbon copy of the original in an airport.
It is at an airport. They really branched out there, you know, business building to airport. Do you know how many times I've wanted at an airport, though, to run down the tarmac waving my hands with fire on them, John McClane style? It's still such an epic scene.
Out of the 5 movies, that's my second worst out of the Die Hard franchise.
Ooh. Really? Wow.
Yeah. Because, I mean, I think 3 is the best. And
3 is so good.
I would put 1, then 4, then Die Hard 2, then Die Hard 5.
Yeah, you're not a Jai Courtney fan.
I like him as a person, but I don't think he's interesting.
James is like, I go have a beer with him every second Friday of the month.
I would definitely do
chill. I would too. That butt, though.
So let's dive into the episode because I am so ready to talk about John Wick, to talk about what this character has done for the action franchise going forward. You cannot come out with mediocre crap. People won't go see it after the level has been skyrocketed to the level of John Wick. So let's dive in. Let's get into this. So the film opens to a flash forward, if you will. We see an SUV riding really, really slow. We're hearing the radio and it hits into a wall, and then we see someone fall out of it. We see that it's John, and he's looking at his phone. He's watching this video, and then we find out later on in the film that it's his wife. He's watching this video of this woman, and he's going unconscious, right? Then we flash forward when he passes out, and we get John's alarm clock. A really nice transition between these two scenes. We get the title card. It says John Wick. And then we get everything at John's home. We see his wife. We see the pictures and everything. And then we get that scene of them in the park where she falls down. And then we find out that she has cancer. She's in the hospital. Like, the pacing of this film is done so well. You get everything that you need to know all in these visual pieces. It doesn't drag on at any point. And I thought it was all brilliant. It really sets up everything that's happening, right? John feels lost. You can see that on Keanu's face when he's at the funeral in the rain.
Which is a beautiful scene. The funeral scene is shot so well.
Yeah.
The colors in it. I even have a note of that. The overhead funeral shot is one of the prettier shots of the movie. The movie does have excellent, just shot setup, though.
Most definitely. I love that funeral scene because this is the first introduction of what John's life is like, kind of. Because this is where we meet Marcus for the first time, played by Willem Dafoe. Love that guy.
I was shocked the first time I saw it and Willem Dafoe popped up. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, he's also in The Great Wall, so you never know what you're going to get with Willem Dafoe.
Very true.
But I was like, okay.
There's a lot of moments in John Wick I remember being like, oh shit, this person's in it? That's awesome.
It's the best when you're watching a film and someone pops up and you're like, okay, I'm bought in a little bit more now. And when I saw Dafoe, I was like, okay.
Yeah. I love that scene where John asks him, what are you really doing here, Marcus? And he says he's just here to see an old friend. And immediately your mind is like, well, what's the deal between these two? What is their past? Immediately planting those scenes into the viewer's mind of what's to come later on in the film. Brilliant filmmaking. We cut back to John's house. We see people at the house. Obviously, John isn't paying attention. He's just mourning the loss of his wife. And then I believe the next scene, he gets the knock on the door. And this is where we get the delivery of Daisy.
I want to say fuck the filmmakers for making that puppy so cute.
Yes. I know, right?
The minute I saw that puppy, I was like, oh, crap.
Yeah, I have a really soft spot for dogs. And I have a beagle.
Because you're a good human, man.
I have a beagle, and that is one of the most adorable beagles ever.
And it's so small. The puppy is so small. And I didn't have So one of the reasons why I didn't see the film in the theater was because I can't handle animal violence. Which I know sounds so silly because this is one of the most violent films you'll ever see. And I'm like, I can handle them beating and shooting humans in a movie, but I can't handle dogs.
Let's be real.
It.
Dogs
Don't come
are better
for me.
than people.
Dogs are better than people. I want you guys to know that in a real life situation, I am just as concerned for a human as a pet to an extent. But I didn't want to see the movie. And so the first time I watched the film, that puppy popped up on screen and I was like, I cannot. This won't happen.
Yeah.
I actually made my fiance watch it for me so that he could tell me when to leave the room and when to come back.
I only saw it the first time. Every time I see the movie, I always fast forward it. I can't look at a dog being murdered.
Yeah, it's really hard.
Yeah.
And they picked the perfect... I mean, all dogs are precious, but they picked... So many people had beagles, I think, growing up, and it's such a common dog for many people's childhood. And that beagle, the little Daisy collar, ugh.
How beautiful is that scene, and how great is Keanu in that scene where he's reading the letter from his wife, telling him that even though she's sorry that she can't be there with him, you need someone to go on with. It's beautiful. You know what I mean? The letter has a daisy on it. The collar has the daisy on it. It's like...
Well, yeah, and in one of the opening scenes, a couple of times that I've rewatched the film, you can see, when he goes and gets his coffee... There's a coffee mug with a daisy on it. Obviously, he gave her this daisy bracelet. Daisy is very important to her. And I thought that was really cute because they didn't have to go that far into their relationship, but they did, and you really feel something for the love
is so
that
much
he
better
had.
for it.
Yeah, exactly. Even though she's not a presence in the film, she really is. I mean, they even hired Bridget Monahan.
Yeah.
To play the wife in the flashbacks. I mean, she's not a huge star, but she's recognizable.
Yeah.
So they did give that pain a lot of gravitas.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I love the scenes where Daisy is getting into bed with him and like he's putting out the bed on the floor and getting her food and her collar is hitting against the bowl.
Gives the dog cereal.
He does. Do you know how excited my dog would be if I gave it cereal? He'd be like, what the hell?
He goes for a drive. Daisy jumps in the car and just give him that look. You can't say no to that face, right? So you just go along with it. And you start to see that he might be okay.
Yeah.
This guy might just be okay having this dog, this gift that was sent to him, the last gift from his wife, and the most precious, dog ever. And we get to the gas station, and this is where we get the introduction to Yosef.
Yeah.
He pulls up in a car that's the ridiculous rap song, let's get money. I'm like, this guy's a douchebag. And I love that. The filmmakers were like, this is bad rap. Bad rap means... douchebag in the movies.
Bad rap means roll your window up.
I'm like, what is this garbage?
Well, and even the way they're dressed. So you've got the one henchman who's like in a suit, and it's of course the shiny slate gray material suit, which, okay, gray suit, awesome. Shiny, get the fuck out. Nobody asked you to come to this party. But then Yosef himself is in a hoodie. Like, he's trying so hard to look more hardcore than he is. And of course it's
Alfie Allen.
Thank you, Alfie Allen, Lily Allen's little brother, who I'm only familiar with from Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
And
Same.
haven't seen the last season, so I know him as kind of a not so awesome character. And you're just immediately like, oh shit, these people look terrible.
Yeah. And funny thing is, the directors say he's actually like one of the nicest people you'll ever meet.
Alfie Allen?
Yeah.
Oh,
But
I
it's
would
just like
believe it.
his face just looks like a douchebag.
He just looks like a douchebag.
He's just got a super punchable face.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
You ever see that guy and you're like, yeah, I can see myself punching you in the mouth at some point.
So Yosef walks up to John, asks him about the car.
The car is sweet, though. Oh, my God,
69
that car.
Mustang, absolutely beautiful. And Yosef is like, how much for the car? And of course, John's like, it's not for sale. And Yosef walks up to the passenger side where Daisy is, starts petting her. And he's like, he says in Russian, he's like, everything's got a price, bitch. John just looks over, he's like, not this, bitch. It's just, Keanu's just so fucking badass.
Well,
So
and
good.
when you first see the film and you're not aware of who John Wick is, when he responds in Russian, you're like, what?
Yeah. It's
Okay, then.
It's so cool because, again, you learn more about that character. It's like, oh, cool, he has a past. He knows Russian. What else does he know? What
Yeah.
else can he do?
They really did such a good job on building up the surprise factor. I mean, it was a little bit spoiled for me to my own fault because I didn't see it in theaters, but if you had watched that in a theater and didn't really know what he was, as the film unfolds, it just gets more and more and more awesome in terms of who John Wick is.
Yeah.
And that's not easy to do in an action film and not make you just kind of roll your eyes and go like, okay, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. And so we get John, he gets in the car, he goes to blow off a little steam. We get to the, I think it's like an airport, right?
Yeah, something like that.
I think it's like an airport parking lot or something like that. And he looks over to the security guard, the guy just lets him in. Immediately he's done this before. Whatever he's going to do, he's been here before. This guy knows him. So he goes in, he's speeding around and around and around just trying to blow off some kind of steam because he's not that guy anymore. He's trying not to be that guy anymore. So this is the way that he needs to blow off some steam.
And he
so
is a very good driver.
Yes.
As
very.
someone who can only park to the right, I was very impressed.
What happens when you try to park to the left?
It just doesn't happen.
You're like the Zoolander of driving.
I'm the girl in the car. Everybody's like coming out of the Starbucks looking at her like, oh, she's backing up again. Oh, nope, not quite. She's backing up again. I can park to the left if there are no cars there.
So
Brad just left.
So we cut back to John's house, and John's sleeping in the bed with Daisy. It's absolutely adorable.
I hate him so much for making that scene so precious, because she's in the bed with him and they look so cute and happy, and you're just like, well, here it goes.
Yeah, Daisy starts barking. Clearly something's not right? And John goes downstairs, and I can't remember exactly who it is. I think it's Yosef that hits him in the back of the head, and they start kicking him with a bat. They start kicking him, hitting him with the bat, and then it's the guy in the douchey gray suit. He's the one that kills the dog, right?
Yeah, they say like, oh no, I think it's actually Yosef.
It's Yosef.
It's Yosef?
That does it,
Okay.
yeah.
The guy in the douchey gray suit, they're all in like ski masks, I think, in the scene, but the guy yells out like, someone make that dog shut up, and he goes over and hits this tiny little puppy with a baseball bat multiple times.
Yeah, and he kills the dog, and it's really rough for me. Like I said before, I always just skip it because I can't look at it. I can't imagine someone doing that to my dog. I would fucking lose it.
Yeah. Well, and I will say what I love about the movie is that we've all seen a man or a female character. It's a very like used idea in films, lose their mind after the loss of a loved one. You know what I mean? And they could have very easily written it that John like gets pulled back into this life because they kill his wife, right? But they didn't. They made it a dog. And I thought that was awesome because the dog represents so much to him. And it was kind of novel. Like, you know, like he's going to embark on this massive attack for them murdering his dog. Good on them. Let's you know, you don't feel bad for anything that happens to anyone for the rest of the film. You're completely absolved for having to have empathy for anyone who gets stabbed in the face or shot. You know, like you're just like, okay, you shouldn't have touched the dog.
Yeah, like this is that thing, taking those tropes from the 80s, the 90s, and turning it on its head, modernizing it, making it more interesting. Because back then it would have been the wife, or it would have been
the daughter,
his
like in
kid.
Commando, they take his daughter. You know what I mean? Like, so actually flipping it like that, I think you just attach yourself to his idea of revenge so fully because you really want them to die for what they do in this scene.
Yeah, what were you gonna say before, Brad?
I was actually going to say the same thing, that it takes so many different things from past movies and that it could go down that road and end up being a cliche, but it doesn't. It forges its own path so well.
Yeah, it's basically Gladiator. The son of a guy you used to work with harms your entire family, and so you go on a revenge path.
Holy shit, yeah. Holy shit. Nice, okay. So the next scene is John. He's cleaning the floor after he's buried Daisy, and while he's cleaning the floor from her blood, he can just see, he's seeing Yosef's face, he's seeing his wife falling down in the park, and this is the descent back into madness for this person. And the next scene we go to Aurelio's, and John Leguizamo is so good in this movie.
He's so great.
All of the character actors in this movie are actually some of the best parts to me because they set up the legend, the mythology of what John Wick is and what this world really is. You know what I mean?
There's not a bad casting move in the film.
Exactly. I mean, I will disagree, but we'll get there when that person comes. Because there is someone that I absolutely hate that they're in this movie, and I'll tell you why when we get there.
I'm excited about this.
So Yosef brings in the car into Aurelio's, and Aurelio immediately, when he sees the car, you see the look on his face. He's like, holy shit, when he says, where did you get this car?
Yeah, I mean, I have John Leguizamo's face when he recognizes the car written down on my notes. It is like some of the best acting without words that I think he's ever done.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so immediately, so this is cutting back and forth between Aurelio's and John being at home. So we see John get on the bus. He gets to Aurelio's and he asks Aurelio, was it here? Right? And then we get the flashback back to Yosef, and Aurelio was like, did you kill the guy? He's like, and Yosef is like, no, we didn't kill him, but we sure as fucked up his dog.
Oh, aren't you a big man?
Exactly.
I hate him.
I hate him so much.
He's so good at playing despicable between that and Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Like,
have you seen him in anything else?
I'm trying to I'm sure I have.
Well, you know, Hollywood is always cast in douchebags, so I think he's going to be okay.
So the next scene, Aurelio punches Yosef in the face.
Loved it.
And Yosef is like, you got a pair of balls on you, old man. And he's like, you're going to run to your daddy, go and tell him, you know what I mean? And his friend pulls out a gun. He's like, you're either going to shoot me or you're going to get that gun out of my face. So it's like, you're all little kids. You don't know what you're doing. You're playing gangster. You don't know what you're doing. You're playing off your daddy's name, and I fucking hate you. And they play up the hatred for these characters so much so that when they die, you love it.
Yeah, and I also like that they play so much on the idea that no one in this universe likes these characters. Like, no one has any respect in the film for Yosef, not even the people really on his crew. And I don't think his dad likes him either.
Yeah.
It's his son, so he loves him, you know, but it's a very interesting thing that they do with those characters where you're kind of like, at a certain point, no one's going to want to protect them anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Aurelio asks John, like, what is he going to do after he tells him who exactly it is stole his car, and Aurelio tells him it's Yosef, Vigo's son. You know what I mean? And John just takes a shot and he's like, I need a ride. And only Keanu could deliver these lines the way that he does. Like, it's so cool.
Stoic, but it's a different type of stoic than we've seen from Keanu before, and it really works.
Yeah. So Aurelio gets a call from Vigo, and Vigo's like, I heard you struck my son. And Aurelio's like, yeah, well, he stole John Wick's car and killed his dog. And Vigo's like, oh.
That oh is everything.
Yeah.
The first time you see the movie and he goes, oh, and then he just hangs up the phone.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, shit. Who is John Wick? What is he going to do? This is going to be so good.
It was in this moment Yosef knew he fucked up.
I don't think Yosef knew he fucked up until, like, towards the end of the film.
Yeah. He really didn't get, like, the gravity.
He never did.
Of the situation. Like, and this scene between Vigo and Yosef is probably my favorite scene in the entire movie.
Absolutely.
Because, again, these character actors are bringing to life the scariness, the boogeyman nature of John Wick.
And Mayhem is there.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dean Winters. I love him.
Yeah.
I like how when I was younger, he was like an actor. And now he's Mayhem to me. He's the guy from the Mayhem commercials.
See, he's Duffy from 30 Rock.
30 Rock. He was on Law and Order SVU's first couple of seasons. He was on that show Oz from HBO. I don't recommend anybody watching
Love
that.
Oz.
He's on Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
He's on Brooklyn Nine-Nine as the Vulture. Like, but every time I see him, I even have written in my notes like, "Oh, Mayhem is here."
Yep.
Like, because he's Mayhem.
He's so great in this commercial. He's great in everything.
He's such a good actor. And again, like, I just love that they cast him in this particular role as kind of the straight. I got the impression he was the lead mobster's lawyer almost.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. Yeah,
everybody needs a good lawyer.
Yeah. So Vigo gives Yosef a drink when he shows up, and then immediately punches him in the gut. Punches
the shit out of him.
Literally, like
I loved it.
He throws up his entire drink, and I love it because, like, I hate his face.
Yeah,
I want to punch him in the face. And Yosef is like, what did I do? And Vigo's like, it's not what you did, son, that angers me so. It's who you did it to. And Yosef is like, that fucking nobody. And Vigo just gives the most epic line delivery ever. He's like, that fucking nobody is John Wick.
Yeah.
And you immediately get the music that kicks in. How great is the music in this movie?
I have it written down. Tyler Bates' soundtrack is so good.
The music is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that scene cuts in between Vigo giving this epic speech and John with a sledgehammer breaking into the floor of his basement. He's like, what the fuck is he going for? Obviously it has to be like his guns and all of this stuff. And then you finally see it. It's like a bunch of rows of like gold coins, all of the guns and everything, and you immediately are curious of what these gold coins are for.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I love what they've done with all the different types of coins in the entire John Wick franchise. And I can't wait to talk about that a little bit later. But let's just talk about that line of dialogue that Vigo gives Yosef. Like, what are your guys' like favorite lines from that scene?
I will say that this is possibly the best speech in any movie about the prowess of the bad, like not the bad guy, but the badass guy in the film, because we've all heard them, right? Like we've all observed that film and like, this is the guy that you want when nothing else is working and Satan himself has launched himself onto the world. And you're kind of like, okay, cool, he's gonna get it done. This is so epic. And when he says John Wick is the man you call to hunt the boogeyman, that I think is my favorite line in it.
That is my favorite line too.
Yeah, and it's delivered so well. And the actor, I can't remember his name. I have it.
Michael Nyqvist.
Thank you. The way that he pronounces words, the way that he puts emphasis on different syllables in words, it makes the speech so much better. He's an amazing actor.
He's so good.
I think unfortunately he's passed, but he brings this scene up to such a high level. And like you said, the fact that it's overlaid over John Wick, like breaking up his own basement floor to get at his guns, I just think I love it.
Yeah.
It's definitely my favorite scene in the whole movie as well. I think that just that back and forth of him describing all of the things that Wick has done, like killed people with a pencil.
Yeah. I gave him an impossible task.
Yeah, it's so good with the music. The whole scene, every part of it just works so well, and it tells you everything you need to know about John.
Yeah. Well, I did like too that, like, you know that he's lost his wife, but this speech lets you know that he had to do some really terrible, awful, impossible things to be allowed to leave the mob just to be with her. And the mob boss is like, so the day after he loses his wife, which you don't even understand what he did to have his wife, you steal his car and kill his dog. And you're just like, oh, man, he's fucked.
Yeah. And Yosef is like, I can make this right, Father. I can make this right. It's like, what can you make right?
I don't feel like Yosef can make soup. Like, I don't feel like Yosef can do much of anything.
Vigo's like, were you even listening to what the fuck I was just saying? He killed, what I'm assuming, he killed, like all of the members of, like, a rival family.
That's what I thought, too.
He, like, killed them all. Like, what are you gonna do? You're nobody. You are nothing. What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's ridiculous. So immediately after that, Vigo talks to the lawyer guy. I can't remember. Yeah, and he's like, "I need you to put together a team of guys." And he's like, "How many do you need?" And Vigo's like,
"As many as you got."
How many do you have?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We get back to the house, and John is showering. We get that very, like, generic scene with the action hero in the shower with the back tattoo, but in John Wick it's cool. Keanu makes it cool.
Well, and it's also cool that it is fortune favors the bold instead of fortune favors the brave.
Right.
The Latin on it. So there's like a little tweak to it. I don't know. I'm a nerd and I like Latin, and I was like, oh, okay, you did something a little different. That's nice.
So this is going to be the first of the kill counts in this movie.
Well, I do want to say, too, I love the scene right before this scene where he calls John Wick on the phone.
Right.
And Wick refuses to say anything.
Yeah.
Like, how many times in the life of this Russian mob boss, based in, I think, New Jersey, because a lot of the license plates are New Jersey plates, has he had to call someone and beg them not to come for him, which he does in a very professional way, and it's well done. Like, you get the impression, and John just hangs up on him.
Let's not resort to our old ways and handle this like civilized people, and he just hangs up.
And how badass is it that he does it on a regular phone?
Right?
Yeah.
You cannot hang up on people the way we used to with these damn cell phones.
Yep.
I want to hear the click.
So, how many people do you guys think John killed in the house this first time?
Okay. I'm going to say 12.
I was literally going to say 12 also.
Brad, we are best friends.
So, 13.
Oh!
He kills 13 people, 11 headshots, one with a knife and one with his bare hands.
And the knife scene, the hallway knife scene fight is my favorite piece of this particular fight.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane. The gun fu in this scene and throughout the entire movie, throughout the entire franchise, is absolutely amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Is gun fu what they call kung fu in a gunfight?
I guess so, yeah. Because, I mean, he is doing, like, I forget exactly what the martial arts is called that he does, but he's doing martial arts while using a gun and, like, shooting people with it. So, I mean, that's what the directors called it, and I thought that was super cool and such a badass term, gun fu.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, how many times do you make an action film and you actually make up a new term to describe the action in the film.
The Wachowskis, they created bullet time.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
and it's all with Keanu.
And it's all with Keanu. Like, how is
awesome.
it this dude? You know, how is it this laid-back, point-break surfer dude who is, like, the king of
The
action
whoa
film?
guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I love him so much for just... He looks effortless in the film. He looks like he has been doing this style of combat for years and years and years. Like, it's such a seamless fight. It's choreographed so well. It blows me away every time I see it. That house scene, it's such an amazing introduction to the fighting of John Wick.
Exactly. And Viggo says it in the film that John Wick is a man of focus, a man of sheer will. And that's Keanu Reeves. Like, he always puts 110% into everything that he does. During
Except
the
for
filming,
Man in Tai Chi.
we can talk about that another time because you know I love that movie.
I just gotta come for you a little bit, James. I'm sorry.
So another one of my favorite moments in the movie is the next scene. John kills everyone in the house, and we immediately see the blue and red flashing lights. And one of my favorite characters, Jimmy, comes in, and he has again another character actor that has such amazing lines. He's like, he looks over to John and he's like, noise complaint? No, John says it was he's asking if they got a noise complaint, and Jimmy's like, noise complaint. And he's like, you working again?
I love that he knows the cop. Like,
Yeah.
as the movies of John Wick unfold, you realize he knows everybody.
Yeah, I love the way that the Continental seems to have its hands in everything that's going on in the city.
Yeah, because Jimmy definitely knows him, and Jimmy the cop definitely sees a bunch of dead bodies, and he's just like, "Have a great night, John. I'm gonna go."
Yep. Because they know. They know who controls
some things out.
Yeah, I can't get out of a broken tail light. That cop can see 3 dead people from the door. And he's like, all right, John, bye.
I'm wondering what deal the Continental has with the police departments all across the globe to where it's like they don't bug them. Because I guess they only kill, like... I mean, I guess they don't hurt innocents, I guess, is like, that's the deal. Like, no hurting innocents, keeping your stuff, like, in your own bubble, and just, just let things work that way.
We'll come clean it up ourselves. You won't have to investigate. No one will ever know this happened. Like, you focus on crime, and we'll take care of the underbelly.
Yeah. And we get the first look at the cleanup crew, which I think is so cool. Charlie and these guys come in, and they're professional cleaners. They come in...
It's basically the wolf.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they come in, they clean up all the bodies, they clean up the house and everything, and John gives Charlie, like, I guess 1 coin per body.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And later on in the film, we realize that the coins don't necessarily work like normal currency. 1 gold coin pretty much gets you anything and into anywhere that you need.
Which is an interesting point, because there is a scene in John Wick 2 where he buys himself and I believe it is Common's character a drink with 1 gold coin. And I'm like, cool, well, you can get 2 drinks or 1 dead body for the same currency.
Or like a bulletproof suit
or a
bulletproof
car.
suit
Or a car, or the nicest hotel room I've ever seen, because I can only stay at like Hilton Garden Inns. But anyways, I love too how they call in the cleanup.
Yeah.
I'd like a dinner reservation for 12.
Yeah.
It means I've got 12 dead bodies.
Yeah.
I loved it.
So let's see here. So Viggo, we cut to Viggo, and Viggo pretty much puts the hit out on John Wick. I believe it was like $2 million for John Wick's head, open contract, and then we get the first look at the Continental. I love this place. I love the lore of the Continental, everything about it. John walks in, we get the concierge, Lance Reddick, I know from Fringe. So good.
So good. I love him. And Fringe, he is also awesome in Fringe. I love when other people have even seen that show, so kudos on you. I bet Brad's seen it.
I've seen the first season.
We are best friends.
Yeah, I have Fringe on DVD.
Ooh! Not Blu-ray, not 4K, DVD.
Side note, how great would Lance Reddick be as the Martian Manhunter in the DCU?
I believe in Lance Reddick. Like, that's just a slogan that I have. He just is so good. And when you see him as the concierge... Like, the concierge shouldn't be a big role, but it is such a big role, and he does such a great, amazing job with it. And I also like when he passes Adrienne Palicki on his way up to the concierge, and I see her. I'm very familiar with Adrienne Palicki. I actually, do enjoy her. I think she's not quite as good of an actress as she is like a physical fighter. But I was like, oh, she's going to be up to no good later in this film.
Yeah.
Because they wouldn't just have her here.
Exactly.
So she's the character that I hate in this entire movie.
I knew it was going to be Adrienne Palicki. You have good reason. She is not the strongest actress.
She is terrible as an actress, and that's why she was written off of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. because she's fucking terrible.
She was supposed to have a spinoff.
Yeah, and it didn't happen because she's fucking terrible, and no one would want to watch a series with her as the star.
I'm not going to say you're incorrect.
She's terrible in the movie, and she is in the movie as a MacGuffin. And I'm going to go into those details as we go along with the movie.
I didn't mind her, but I can certainly understand she's not the strongest when it comes to her acting style. I do think we've all been saved a little something that her Wonder Woman series didn't move forward.
Yeah.
I don't think...
because she's terrible.
I do think she is a fun female action figure to watch. She feels more like a reboot of Xena is more her style than like Wonder Woman. You know what I mean?
That should be on the Sci-Fi Channel that no one ever watches at 3 a.m. because she's terrible.
I like her.
So John asks if the hotel is still run by the same owner, and this is where we meet Winston.
Yes.
How great is the Winston character?
He's so great. And Ian McShane is a master at everything that he does.
Yeah.
I cannot agree more. I mean, everything that you see him in, you're just like, oh, okay.
Hellboy is a steaming pile of dog shit, and Ian McShane is great in it.
Is he Hellboy's dad? Basically. In air quotes.
So I actually can't wait to talk about Hellboy with you because I thought that movie made him look like shit.
Ooh.
Really?
Yeah. I thought
he pulled a full Adrienne Palicki in that film, Brad.
So John goes into like this underground club in the bottom of the Continental.
Who else wants to hang out in the underground club in the bottom of the Continental, by the way? I will buy the clothes for it.
And an entry fee is an entire gold coin.
I will say, too, once you realize, as the movie kind of unfolds around you, what you use the coins for and what you have to do to get the coins, your mind kind of flashes back to that. He had a literal ton of coins, like too heavy to move. What did he do to get all of those coins? Like, I love the kind of unspoken mythos of John Wick. Like, you're like, okay, all of this stuff costs one coin, and you've got hundreds of these coins.
And slight spoilers for 3, but they kind of go into that it's like for a favor, like that the coin represents, it doesn't have monetary value. It represents something more than that.
Yeah.
And I love that aspect of it. I think it's so cool that you really can, it's up to you what you use those coins for, but they represent something more than money.
Yeah.
It's definitely, it's more well thought out than you would think it is on the surface. They really built such a cool world at the Continental and the world of the Hitmen. I just love it.
Yeah, I think overall that's the best part of this franchise, just what they've been able to build with the underworld. So we're in the club, and Winston is telling John that he can't help him, like it's kind of against the rules. And John tells Winston it's personal. You know, John goes to the bar, he gets a drink from this amazingly gorgeous bartender. And
you see, I felt like the bartender had too big of a role for no reason, and I was kind of like, whose wife is she?
I thought she was going to come back in.
I thought she was going to come back in later. She just seemed a little, I can't really describe it, but that role, like, it didn't need to be more than her passing him the drink or saying, like, hey, John, good to see you again, and then passing him the drink with the napkin that has the info on it. And so I kept thinking, oh, she's going to come back, or she's going to be important, or she's married to the director.
Interesting.
I'm not saying she's not gorgeous, because she totally was. I'm just saying I felt like that scene was almost a red herring a little bit. Like, she just talked too much.
Interesting. I actually thought she served her purpose, and I didn't need to see anything else. She sets up that John is obviously a different person. When she talks about she's never seen him like this, and he's like, what? And she says, him being vulnerable. It shows that John has changed. It emphasizes his love for his wife, and I think it reinforces his motivations and what he's doing with the rest of the film. So I didn't need to see her again. I feel like she did serve a purpose, but I do see where you're coming from.
Yeah, I just was kind of like, it didn't bother me. I was just like, when the movie ended and I realized, like, oh, that bartender actually didn't do anything else.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like there are
Sometimes
few characters
people just
want to
see that girl with the hot face for a little longer. You know what I mean? Whatever.
I mean, yeah, it's kind of like the girls that start the race in the Fast and Furious movies. They don't ever show up again.
Yeah.
You just want to see really
we just want to see them
hot
shorts.
women.
You know what I'm saying? Where do they're just buying shorts? No, all of them. Just the best looking little baby shorts.
So the next scene is Vigo is in his SUV, and he gets communication from his lawyer that he got a call from someone at the Continental that is willing to kill John on Continental grounds, which we find out that any violence on Continental grounds is immediate death and excommunicado.
Yeah.
Right? So...
And when you figure out what excommunicado means in that world, you realize exactly how scary it is.
Yeah. Which is why Perkins is a MacGuffin. She is simply in this movie to show the audience what happens when you break the rules on Continental grounds. She is there to catch Marcus with John. She's pretty much there to just be a MacGuffin. She's a thing to show you things that happen when you don't follow the rules. I don't think she serves any other purpose.
That's very interesting because while watching the film, I thought multiple times, like, what is her motivation for doing this? Like,
you know the rules. Why would you, one, go after John Wick? It doesn't matter who it is. Why would you ruin your entire life to kill one person for $4 million?
Okay, you say that like $4 million ain't a lot of money.
Yes, but what are you going to
kill you right
what
now.
are you going to spend it? Thank you.
I never would, James. You know I wouldn't.
Thank you for telling me what our friendship means to you. But really, what are you going to do with $4 million after you're excommunicado from the underground, under the high table? They will hunt you down and kill you. $4 million cannot get you anywhere.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense, but it's in there because she is just a MacGuffin to show you what happens when you break the rules. She serves no purpose whatsoever.
I agree with you when you look at it from that angle. I do think she serves a little bit different of a plot purpose. Like, I think she's there for just more fight scenes, making sure that John Wick feels like he's not safe anywhere he goes, ramping up John's feelings of instability in the world. Certainly, I think if any other character could have figured out the connection between John and Marcus, Willem Dafoe's character, but I think she does serve a little bit of a purpose. I definitely agree with you, though, because when watching the film, you're like, why is she making the choices she's making?
Yeah.
Because it's choice.
Because
she's a MacGuffin.
After a bang one time. Did you not kind of think like maybe John Wick?
There's a history.
Yeah,
there.
there's a history there, and then he
Not
left
at
her
all.
for his wife.
There is no way that John would hook up with her. It just wouldn't happen.
Everybody drinks, James.
So after that, we realize that so at the bar, the bartender slips John a note, and we realize that it's from Winston telling John that Yosef is at the Red Circle. And this is another one of my favorite sequences in the whole movie. Watching John prepare himself, get himself ready, and he goes to the Red Circle, and we immediately see Yosef. He's at the club. He has these girls in the pool. He's drinking champagne.
Give me another bottle.
Yeah, his brother takes his bottle, and he's, give me another bottle. I'm a baby. I need another bottle now.
It was so funny to me that he kept screaming, I need another bottle, because I'm like, yeah, because you're a fucking baby.
Yep, exactly.
I'm baby one day, baba. I mean, that one was filled with champagne, but still.
So John sneaks up behind the doorman. His name is Francis, who is Kevin Nash, that you guys might know from WWE.
Yeah,
and
of course.
He is great in just that limited amount of time. You know, John's like, good to see you, Francis. Look like you lost some weight. You know what I mean? And John lets him go, and Francis just looks like, thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you for sparing my life.
Because I would have died tonight.
Oh, yeah. Without a doubt.
Excuse me. I had a little tickle in my throat thinking about John Wick's suit. Move on.
So John goes in and he kills the douchey guy from the beginning with the gray suit. I will never remember his name because he's irrelevant.
It doesn't matter. I love that he just drowns him in sink water.
Exactly.
Like,
and,
you don't even matter.
Neck.
Yeah.
Like, I love all of that stuff. I love John going through that area where Yosef is. I love him killing all those people. There's a scene where John... I
love him killing all those people.
Yes, I do.
I know you do. We all do. I will say, too, the scene is so stylized, but it never is overly stylized.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, the color use, the sharp angles, the way that they do the camera, it has... this style that is sort of reminiscent of something you've seen before, but also very new. It's kind of hard to describe. And it didn't piss me off. Like, sometimes highly stylized films, if they don't hit their mark, they can wind up kind of being, like, annoying to you. I just was so in love with the use of color and the club scene music kind of coming through, and then the softer music in the bath, like so it's essentially a Russian bathhouse.
Yeah.
It reminded me a little bit of the scene from Eastern Promises.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Yeah. Just with a little less dong.
That entire scene is amazing. I love when John, like, rams the knife into this guy's throat, and he's, like, just staring into his eyes as he's dying, and then the music is so ironic behind of it as well. It all fits so well. Now, John kills 28 people in the Red Circle Club.
Like, total.
23 headshots. He kills 3 of them with a knife and 1 with his bare hands. He shoots 52 bullets in the entire club, and he only misses 13 times.
That's so crazy.
Like, how nuts is that?
That is crazy. I actually... I don't know how. Did someone on the internet go through and count them all up, or did you have a really long night?
There is this guy on a website. I forgot to write it down so I can give him the credit, and I apologize. But he went through and he put a kill count of every weapon used, every kill, every shot, everything. So I am bringing you all of those kill counts directly from this guy's site. Again, I forgot to write it down.
What is James doing with his weeknights?
Because I felt like it was important, like how many people has he killed in this entire movie? And once we get to the end, I'll give you the total tally of
good, because I'm not doing the math.
All the kills. It's going to be awesome.
I especially liked in this scene, which I know we're jumping a little bit ahead. We can rewind in just a second, but they do actually show him running out of bullets.
Yeah.
Finding that his gun is empty. Like, it's not... People make that joke all the time. Like, oh, he unlocked the infinity ammo code on it. That happens in a lot of action films where you're just like, okay, that gun holds this many bullets and he shot 3 times more than that without reloading. They show John needing to reload. They show John needing to have a plan B when his gun doesn't have any bullets in it. They really do, and that's what makes it feel, even though it's ridiculously over the top, it does feel real. Yeah. Like, you feel like John Wick might come in the club and act like that.
That's the cool part of Gun Fu, though. Like, there's a scene in the Red Circle where he's reloading, so he takes the butt of the gun, he hits someone in the throat, reloads, and then shoots him in the head. Yeah. Like,
I know this scene you're talking about. It's so
important. Like you said, in other movies, you'll see a gun, it's like, I know that has 15 bullets in it, and you shot like 50, and I haven't seen you reload once.
One time.
It's ridiculous. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's lazy directing. It's like, oh, they're having so much fun. They're not paying attention. It doesn't matter. We're paying attention.
Guess what? I stopped having fun when I started counting the bullets.
Exactly. Yep. So Yosef uses a girl as a human shield as he's running through the club.
Because he's
in
the
his fucking
worst.
towel. Yeah, he's the worst. He runs out. He gets into a car and he calls his friend Victor. That's his name.
Yeah.
He calls Victor and John tells him that Victor's dead.
Yeah.
And I love that because Yosef looks absolutely terrified. I think it is in that moment he finally realizes that he is in over his head.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we cut back to the Continental because obviously John's injured. He asks for the doctor. The doctor patches him up. If I'm not mistaken, isn't the doctor the keymaker from The Matrix Reloaded?
It could be. I
think
it's been a while since I've seen Matrix Reloaded, but now that you're saying that,
I think it is. I need to go back and research it, but I think it is the same actor that played the Keymaker from The Matrix Reloaded.
I know a bunch of Matrix actors have cameos in the Wick trilogy, so it would make sense. I don't know. I'm not going to say yes or no because I don't want to embarrass myself.
Yeah, so that was really cool. But so Perkins breaks in. John is sleeping. Perkins breaks in. And this is where we see Marcus for the first time. He's setting up his sniper rifle across the street. He's aiming at John, and we don't really know what he's going to do, right?
I never bought that he was going to kill John, though. Did you guys actually buy, when you saw it, that I
didn't, but the film wants you to not know.
Yeah,
right?
and it's trying too hard. That's the one caveat that I have with the film, is that I think they didn't really utilize Marcus that well.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you got Willem Dafoe, like, use him.
Yeah, right. Like, he can go so much crazier. Anybody that's ever seen the Boondock Saints knows that Willem Dafoe can go...
There was a fight!
But when
he's so good at that movie.
He's so good. When he shows up on the roof across from the Continental, and again, you have that thought, like, he's not going to shoot him at the Continental. Marcus is not going to piss off the Continental. So when you see... Adrian Palicki as Perkins come in, you're like, oh, okay, I see what's going on here. He's gonna probably protect John.
Yeah, and so he shoots the bullet. It hits his pillow. John wakes up. So the thing is, right, there are like 3 times where John should have just been dead in this movie.
But Marcus saved him.
But Marcus saves him twice. Mm-hmm. I feel like in a real-life situation, Yosef and his friends would have just killed John. I feel like they would have killed him and the dog and leave them in the house. But of course it's a movie and it's a revenge tale, so we have to have the main character. This second time with Perkins, it's also a moment where John should have been dead.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I hate this fight. I hate the music in this fight, and it's clearly a stunt double. They do everything to hide the face. The hair is always covering the face whenever John is fighting this person. And when you look at what's her name?
Adrian Palicki.
Yeah, once you see her hair, it's like in a ponytail parted in the middle. It doesn't make sense for the style of the hair of the stunt double compared to her. Because when you see every other fight scene, it's clearly that person who actually took the time to do the training versus Keanu Reeves. It's always those people. But in that fight scene, it's a stunt double. It's not even her. She didn't even put in the time to learn the fight sequences and the choreography to do the fights. She only shows up for close-ups.
I feel like it never occurred to me that was a stunt double.
Because it's good editing. But once you really look at it, like in the first Avengers movie, when Scarlett Johansson was still using a stunt double for most of her stuff, it's a classic trick in film. When you have a female character doing stunts, you always have longer hair that covers the face while they're doing all of the moves. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? When it's actually Scarlett Johansson, you see her all the time. Her hair is not covering the face because that's what you do to cover up the stunt double.
Is that why she only had long hair in Iron Man 2?
Exactly. To hide the stunt double.
You know, that is cool to know. That's a good bit of trivia. I like the hotel fight room scene.
I do too.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah. Tell me what you guys liked about it.
It didn't occur to me that it was a stunt double, although now, of course, all I want to do is go watch that scene and like pause it and fast forward it and watch it really slow. I liked there is a lot of beauty in the one-on-one fights, and I get really excited with John Wick's one-on-one fights, and I thought Perkins was a cool character for him to be up against. She is a tall lady. I mean, I think Adrian Palicki is maybe pushing 6 feet tall. Maybe that's just heels. I don't know. I'm 5'1", so everybody looks big to me. But they seemed really well matched in the sense that John Wick is so injured. Yeah. I think John Wick uninjured would have taken her down in a second.
Oh, yeah.
I always like when there are fight scenes, and one of them is like essentially, I call it spider monkey fighting, where the other person is like wrapping their legs around you and flipping. It is also how Black Widow fights.
Yeah.
And that was something that Adrian Palicki's character does in it. I enjoyed the scene. I don't know. I just liked the fight scene. I liked when you kept thinking she had him or he had her and it would flip. And it didn't bother me that it kept going on. And I just liked when he punched her and knocked her out in the hallway.
Yeah.
Yeah, he also wraps a sheet around her face and punches her in the face also to hide the stunt double. I'm like, it pisses me off that she's so terrible in this movie and she doesn't even put in the effort that other actors and actresses do to do the actual fight sequences. And for all I know, it could have been a scheduling issue. She was only able to show up for the certain scenes and they needed a stunt double to fill in the fight scenes while she was filming something else.
Yeah, well, it wasn't Wonder Woman.
It could be that way. Yeah, I highly doubt it, but who knows? But
is
she wasn't
Adrian
doing
Palicki in real big demand these days?
No.
What year did Wick come out?
John Wick, 2014.
So she might have still been on S.H.I.E.L.D. I don't know. I definitely want to rewatch the scene and see if I can pick up on stunt double versus her. I did like the scene, though. I thought it was interesting that they utilized Marcus in that scene, though. What is his name?
Vigo.
Of course it's Vigo. I don't know why I even asked. When Vigo goes and asks Marcus earlier in the movie to shoot John Wick and Marcus takes that job, I was like, let's see how this plays out. And I got the feeling right away that he wasn't going to actually be going after Wick. So when he wakes him up with the shot into the Continental, I'm like, okay, I feel safe here. I feel safe with Willem Dafoe.
Yeah. Definitely.
Things people never really say.
I was about to say, I wonder how many times that sentence has been spoken in history.
Limited.
So I was just looking it up. The Doctor is the keymaker from Matrix Reloaded. That is awesome. But he
and he does find out from her too that about the church.
Yeah, I was just about to say
which is a pretty big plot point for her to have. I mean, any character could have told him that, but
because she's a MacGuffin. She's there to feed information and do things to move the plot along.
But every movie has a MacGuffin in it.
Yeah, but I don't think like the MacGuffin should have so much screen time as a person that can act.
But I like her, and I loved her in the movie.
Because, I mean, I guess we could say that Vigo's a MacGuffin, but Vigo actually does cool things and moves the plot along.
I don't think that Vigo is a MacGuffin.
I'm just drawing a reference.
Yeah, but I mean, I think every movie has that character that has to push things along.
But shouldn't they be interesting, though?
But I found her very interesting.
Fair enough. I
mean, so, while I can understand being like, she's not the strongest actress, I just have a little soft spot for Adrienne Palicki. I like her a lot. I liked her 315 years ago when she was on Supernatural.
Yeah, that's right. She was on Supernatural, and thankfully she dies.
Do you know that show is still on?
Yeah, I love Supernatural.
It's like 20 years.
Never seen an episode.
Dude,
we're going to talk later about season 6. Move on, James.
It gets a little CWE, but I mean, the overall stuff is great.
I like that we can verb CW now. You were acting straight CW, okay? Go sit down.
So, John is asking Harry to keep an eye on Perkins while we wait for room service, or what do they call it?
Housekeeping.
Yeah, which it takes housekeeping forever. First of all, the concierge found out pretty much when the fight started, and he's waiting on the phone. We get an entire fight scene. He's able to tie up Perkins, but it takes housekeeping forever to get to them.
6 hours.
Just so that Perkins can kill Harry and take the gold coin.
Which, again, it's funny, now that the favor aspect of it in the movie, you're like, he's going to give him a whole gold coin just to watch this girl? You're like, damn.
Yeah, catch and release. Except the black guy dies. It's like, hey, we got 2 black guys. We can afford to kill one.
Yeah, because the concierge guy, he's making it. Quota is 1, James.
Hey, as long as we keep 1 black guy, we're good. We're good.
One black guy gets a pretty awesome arc throughout the series, though.
He does.
Again, quota met.
So we get the church scene, which is another really awesome scene.
The church scene, honestly, it's up there. It might be my second favorite scene because he just goes in there and sets everything on fire. And there's something so badass about he doesn't want he's hiding his money and his fake passports and his blackmail stuff, and Wick just goes in there and sets it on fire. He doesn't want any of it. He's just pissed off.
Yeah,
and then the fight. Oh,
yeah, I love whenever he's trying to convince the quote unquote priest to give him the information. And the guy's like, "No, Vigo would kill me." And then John just goes and shoots one of the bodies over there and just says, "Uh-huh." It's so
and only Keanu could deliver it like that.
Well, and it's such a great flip of that trope because every action movie has got like, "No, he'll kill me," and it's like, "What do you think I'm gonna do to you?"
Yeah,
Keanu doesn't have to say that.
He just does.
He just shoots someone else and looks at him like, That was what was so badass about that scene to me. I loved it.
Yeah.
So after
Ladies.
Right. After that, we cut back to the Continental, and this is where Perkins kills Harry, which it really sucks. She's able to get out of the handcuffs, which I feel like you're an assassin. You should know better not to maybe handcuff a person like this behind them. You should be able to handcuff them where you could see their hands at all times.
Also, she could, I don't know if I don't get the impression her ankles were tied to anything. She could have just stood up.
Yeah, that's true too.
Like, I'm not saying I know how to get out of being tied to a chair. I'm just saying,
all she does
just
is
stand up.
all she does is dislocates her thumb, gets out of the handcuffs. She gets Harry's gun, puts a pillow over his head, and shoots him.
And then
so
she
her
says,
ankles are not.
"Housekeeping will find you."
Yeah,
I love that line. No, I don't. It was actually pretty cheesy.
yeah, because
I call that though like breaking your thumb or whatever, or I call it lethal weaponing your way out of a situation.
Yes, pretty much. So at the church, John kills 16 people, 7 headshots,
is that including
28 shots
outside?
fired. No, that's just
in the
inside
church.
the
So
church.
it's 7 headshots.
Actually, no, that does include the people from outside. That actually does include them
Because
as
that
well.
outside of the church scene is fantastic.
Oh,
Again, using a weapon as a car. When they just slap into John Wick with an Escalade, I lost my shit.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So listening to interviews, it seems like pretty much it's not Keanu when it's time to get hit by a car, pretty much, or when it's time to get hit by something. Keanu is always in on the action. He's always doing everything, and I'm pretty sure he gets hit by a car in every movie.
Yeah,
multiple times. It's kind of crazy.
I saw this funny interview with him when he was promoting Parabellum, John Wick 3, where he was like, I do most of the John Wick action. But, like, it's me. And then when they hit me with a car, it's this other dude.
Yeah.
And then when the car's gone, it's me. But then, like, if the car comes back, it's this other dude. I'm just laughing so hard.
I saw that was on, like, Fallon or
yes,
something like that.
Yes, I think it was Fallon.
Was so good.
It was such a good interview. He was like, I'm there 98% of the time, unless it's a car.
So he gets hit by the car. He passes out. Why doesn't Viggo just shoot him? Yes, we do need to have a movie, and that's why he doesn't do it. But it's like, why don't you just shoot him? So
I thought the same thing. I was like, just shoot him and leave.
They tie him up. They put him in a warehouse, and Viggo's talking to him. He's given the very generic villain dialogue. You know what I mean?
It was priceless.
Yeah, exactly.
I love John's response. Yeah, I kind of enjoyed that.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Okay, but Brad, your John Wick impression.
That was awesome.
Best. It's best. It's so much better than my Schwarzenegger.
I love the line where John is like, you can either give me your son or you can die screaming alongside him.
Yeah,
like, it's
so
just
good.
so good. Everything Keanu says is just awesome.
I like the phrasing of when he's talking about the dog and he goes, and your son killed it from me.
Stole that from me.
Killed it from me. You're like, whoa, man. Like, you're feeling this scene right now, buddy.
It's so good.
And again, he is tied to a chair with his arms behind his back, so I guess that's a thing that they do. But you could just stand up.
Yeah, you could. But the henchman puts the plastic bag over his head. Viggo, of course, leaves because that's what bad guys do in movies.
They can't stay till the end to know that you actually died. That takes all the fun out of the next scene when they're surprised that you didn't die.
And somehow Marcus is able to see through this glass that is really dirty and stained and is able to get headshots. But whatever. What do I know about being a sniper?
I've played an app on my phone. I'm pretty good at it. I will say, too, that scene for me was a little like, okay. Because if Marcus had not been there, the movie would have ended there.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, like, it doesn't bother me, but Marcus is such an important piece of the film. Like, he is John Wick's partner. And I thought it was annoying a little bit the first time I saw it, but on rewatches I was like, oh, this explains the end even more, though. You know what I mean? Like, it ratchets up your emotional connection to Marcus. He's like the hidden figure. He's almost John Wick's guardian angel.
Yeah, pretty much.
But it does also show you there are these couple of moments in John Wick's life where he wouldn't have succeeded without someone else. But thank God he had that relationship. I don't know. I want a prequel about Wick and Marcus, to tell you the truth. I want to know what they used to do.
Yeah, it would just be so hard to do, though, because, I mean, I guess you would just have to de-age
Willem
Keanu.
Dafoe has looked that old since 1997. Like,
true.
You know, there are some actors that you're just like, oh, they've been 64 for the last 32 years.
Morgan Freeman.
Morgan Freeman.
Alan Rickman was always
Alan
the same
Rickman.
age.
So you could easily do I would buy, I mean, to me, John Wick, Keanu Reeves is a vampire. He is immortal. he has looked this good for about 15 years.
Yeah, it's crazy. So John kills all of Vigo's men. He gets outside. Vigo is trying to drive away. John kills the driver, and he's holding I think it looks like an automatic shotgun.
It's a big old gun.
And of course, Vigo tells John exactly where Yosef is.
This town has no police. There are no cops here.
It's almost like they exist in like a mirror dimension.
Yeah,
because when John kills people in the club, everyone's still dancing, they're raving, and it's like no one notices.
That's a lot of drugs for you to keep dancing alongside of bodies on the literal bodies on the floor. Can you tell me why I have a note that is cool it, cool it, cool it, cool it, cool it, cool it? It's just cool it, cool it, cool it, cool it running together. I assume this must be something that Vigo says.
It must be some line of dialogue.
It must be some line of dialogue that I thought was hilarious, and I wrote it down on my notes, and I cannot for the life of me.
Wait, I think that's what Vigo says when John is holding the gun in front of him.
That's 100%.
Cool it, cool it, cool it. Apparently, I thought that was so funny. I wrote it down. I have a string, 2 paragraphs long of cool it, cool it, cool it. I gotta get out more, you guys.
So Vigo tells John, they know you're coming, and John says, it won't matter. You know what I mean? And you know it won't. You know what I mean? So from here, Vigo...
This man just said, Baba Yaga too tough. Take my firstborn.
Yep.
He can make another one.
Yeah, he was just like, fine, you win.
I mean, what is he going to do? John would just kill him, and then he would find them. He would find him anyway and kill him anyway.
You have to admit though, it's another little nail in the coffin of no one likes this kid. Because even his dad's like, I did enough, son. Yep. I have been disappointed since you were 13. Let's just end it here.
So Yosef and his little friends are playing on
his paid
their
bodyguards.
PlayStation, whatever, and John with the sniper rifle shoots his one friend in the head, and John gets 10 kills, 6 headshots at the compound. Amazing. I love all of that stuff. He walks up to Yosef after he kills everyone, shoots him once in the gut, once right in the eye, kills him.
While he's screaming, it was only a dog.
Yeah. It was just a fucking bang right in the face. Dead. Loved it.
I wonder, so in the red circle scene, he does have a clean shot of Yosef. He's across the room from Yosef.
I forgot to mention that.
And he doesn't take it. And at first, I thought he doesn't want to just shoot Yosef. He wants to make it more meaningful.
Yeah.
But then in the end, he winds up just shooting Yosef anyway.
Because, I mean, at that point, he's already made his point, right? In the club, I feel it's like, I got you. I could pull the trigger right now, and you would be dead. And then he just kills the guy that he's on top of instead. He's like, that could have been you. That was to teach him a lesson, because John knows he's going to get him anyway.
Yeah.
Is that what you think? Because I was going to say, what do you guys think is the reasoning behind him not shooting him in the red circle, other than the movie should be 2 hours long?
Yeah, I feel like that was just the message, like, I'll get you anyway. This is going to be you. This is going to be your corpse right here beneath me.
Live with this fear diarrhea for 42 more hours.
Exactly. Yes.
I'm glad to see fear diarrhea so universal.
So we cut back to Vigo. Vigo's smoking a joint. The phone rings. He already knows what it's about. He's like, make the arrangements. And he just hangs up. It's great.
I think he picked out that boy's coffin when he was like 17. He was like, you're too annoying.
Yeah.
I've got your plot. Yeah, I've got your plot ready.
Yeah. John gets back to the Continental. Winston hooks him up with a nice black Charger.
Nice car.
Really, really nice car. And then I believe we cut to Marcus and John just having a talk in the park. I can't remember exactly what they were talking about. Can you guys remember what they were talking about?
Marcus is telling him, like, basically, you're back. And John is like, no, I'm still not back. I'm going home. Which is funny because when he was tied to the chair in the warehouse, he literally says, people keep asking me if I'm back. Brad, can you do it?
Yes, please.
People keep asking me if I'm back. What is he? What is
and
he?
I haven't really had an answer for it.
Really had an answer for that.
But you know what? I guess I'm back.
I guess I'm back.
But yeah, it's this moment too where you can tell that John Wick thinks I'm done. And Marcus is like, you're really not done. Like, you'll never really be done. He's like, you've stepped back into the world. You're not getting back out. And then they kind of part ways, and then you see old James's favorite lady.
Yes, MacGuffin lady.
MacGuffin lady.
Yeah, she's there magically. Well, not magically. She's an assassin. Obviously, you
she
stalk
harried her
people.
Potter away.
Yes, she did. Obviously, she found a way. She tracked him and she found him, whatever.
Which, again, I just feel like she's got something out for John Wick because
Is it
doesn't
really
make
worth
sense.
your life? Do you know what the high table does to people?
Well, and I think at that point, she knows she's already fucked up. She's already attacked him. She's already killed on continental ground. Mm-hmm. She needs to have a very powerful ally. And I think she sees Vigo as that very powerful ally at that point.
What the fuck is Vigo going to do against the high table?
Exactly. Yeah. It's not a great thinking. It's not a great plot point for her.
Like, I don't want to shit all over the actress. My dislike of her acting is one thing aside.
Brad and I are dying.
It could have been anyone. The character itself is useless.
Yeah.
It's useless.
It's
and the character is
written.
disposed of just as quickly.
And I don't really know that there is... Well, I feel like there is the Ruby Rose character in 2 is very similar to that as well.
But that works because she doesn't talk.
Yes.
Ruby Rose is to Brad as Adrian Pilecki is to James.
There you go.
At least Ruby Rose was actually fighting in John Wick Chapter 2. At least she was actually doing the choreography and actually fighting.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't have a thing with Ruby Rose. I like everybody y'all hate, and I hate everybody y'all like. And that's what makes this work.
I think she's interesting as a person. Don't act. Do something else. I'm sorry.
There's so many different things you could do. Like, you could work at Trader Joe's.
So we cut back to Marcus. He's walking home, and we figure out that Vigo's men are looking for him, right?
And the MacGuffin.
Yes, and the MacGuffin. So we get into Marcus's house. They pretty much... Vigo beats the shit out of him and kills him, right?
Which was so shocking to me. It's like, I think even Marcus's character is very much of a plot point in the same way that Adrian Pilecki's character is. And it was the first time that I got really mad to it, like the Vigo character, because he was sort of whatever up until that point. But then you realize he's so mad that John Wick won, but he's so scared of John Wick. So he just is going to beat up and kill Marcus because he feels like... I mean, he has a good point. If Marcus would have done his job...
I was just going to say, I agree with you, but if Marcus just did his job... Because, I mean, right after he put out the open contract, he went straight to Marcus. He's like, I trust you to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So he would have still had his son, his empire, his leverage, all of that stuff that he had. He lost everything.
Everything. I think he's more mad about the church than the son, just to tell you the truth.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, but he can make another one.
God, you gotta, I mean, getting the ability to have that kind of leverage over people in the city, that's not easy.
Can you imagine having leverage over, like, the mayor? You know what I mean? Or, like, some kind of senator. Like, the kind of leverage you can just make someone pull whatever strings you need pulled at whatever time.
I can't even get my landlord to fix my gutters. You know, like...
So I believe the next scene right after this is Perkins gets a call from the Continental, and they tell her where to meet up.
Who calls John, though, to tell him that Marcus... Because he comes back to Marcus's house, and Perkins is watching him enter Marcus's house across the street, and she gets that phone call.
Right, that's right.
So someone calls John and says, Marcus pissed... I think Vigo calls John and says, Marcus pissed me off.
Yes, you're absolutely right.
Is that what happened?
Yeah, that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, because I'm thinking... Because I also thought it was creepy that she was standing there waiting for John to come back. Like, you did what you had to do. Why are you still standing here?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Y'all are not dating.
She's there to look creepy with her little black eyeliner.
Oh, her eyeliner. Don't get me started on the makeup choices.
Yeah. But anyways, yeah. So Perkins gets the call. She shows up. Winston shows up and he's like, your membership has been revoked. And Ian McShane's delivery of that line is absolutely incredible. Mm-hmm. And these 4 guys just show up and just shoot her in the head from 4 different directions. I really hope that $4 million was worth it.
Which she definitely didn't even get because she didn't even kill John Wick.
Mm-hmm. Right? Exactly. Yeah. So what was the point? Because she's a useless MacGuffin. Useless. Anyways.
I have to say, too, so that area where they shoot her in, it shows up again in John Wick, too. There is a very not that great older romantic comedy featuring Michelle Pfeiffer and George Clooney where they dance in the rain at that spot. And I'm watching that scene and they're shooting her and and I was like, oh my God, this is from A Perfect Day. It's total like flashback to this romantic series. It's funny because that particular fountain in New York is so overused that when they do shoot a scene in it that's very violent, you think immediately of the like 40 other films you saw where people are having the best day of their life there.
Yeah.
But hey, there's only like 8 spots people shoot in New York, so it's fine.
So I have a question for you guys. So the cleanup crew shows up again, and it's Charlie and the same guys. Do you think that Charlie runs like absolutely everything as far as like the cleanup crew goes?
Yes. I was going to say, as far as dead bodies hitting the floor, you call Charlie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder
think that's
how
why
much
he's
guys he
95
has.
years old.
I wonder how much guys he has working for him that does all of this cleanup stuff.
Okay, but a bigger question I have. If the gold coins don't have any currency outside of this network, who the shit is paying him?
Paying Charlie?
He needs a sandwich every once in a while.
I mean, I'm sure that they get places where they can stay, you know, like they stay at the Continental, or they have like different like safe houses, if you will, for people of the underground. Like,
but
who
how
knows?
is he making his money to live his life?
I mean, I guess once you're in the circle, that is what you use as currency. So
You're
I guess
kind
you
of
don't
like a
need,
made man. Yeah. At
Yeah,
that
you
point.
don't need
He's
anything
spending
else.
1 gold coin every time he wants like a 5 foot long?
Probably.
Probably, right? I wonder if...
That's ridiculous. Can you imagine walking into Subway, getting a $5 foot long and paying with a gold coin?
I mean, like, can you imagine walking in a Subway?
I haven't had Subway in years.
Yeah,
honestly.
I think it's been at least a decade.
I prefer Firehouse.
Brad's like,
can't
I went
remember.
yesterday.
I went probably like 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Okay, sorry. I took that on a weird path. But yeah, I wonder who is, if the high table, is it a high table or high council?
It's the high
High
table.
table.
High table, which is kind of the main source of power, which you find out in John Wick 2. I wonder if there is some system in place for these groups of people like the cleanup crew to actually get paid. Because you would have to be making a good amount of money to keep these secrets and to actually be living your life. I can't imagine Charlie is actually running a legitimate cleaning business Monday through Friday.
Again, I don't think they need to. I think you're just like you said, Brad. I think you're just made, and everything that you need, you just walk into a place, you give the code, and you just get it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I will believe that, because based on John Wick 2, everyone in New York is an assassin.
Because I mean, Winston doesn't need anything. He's the manager. He has the Continental. You eat free, you drink free. You just uphold the law.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
And they can just give you a car.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Pretty sweet perks.
Yeah. So we cut to the dock. My note in here is the boss fight, because that's exactly what it is. I feel like the two guys are, well, of course, I'm skipping ahead, but John kills all of the guys. He kills a couple people with a car door. That was
When
actually
he
really
kills
cool.
those guys with a car door, that was so cool.
My favorite part in that is there's a scene where he backs up, runs the guy over, and then while the guy's rolling over the roof of the car, he shoots him through the roof of the car.
That's amazing.
It is the coolest thing ever.
I love the fact that whole scene, this fight is going down. John's mad because he's seen Marcus's dead body and he's going after them. They're trying to get on a plane. Vigo's just laughing. The head of the Russian mob is just laughing. And Mayhem, Dean Winters, is like, who has a gun? Give me a gun. Somebody give me this gun. And Vigo's just laughing.
Vigo is sparking up a joint
Yes.
in the back seat, and then he just hands in the gun,
He's like,
pulls
"Good
it
luck."
back. He's just fucking with him at this point. He's like, because he know it's over. It's over. You cannot get away from John Wick. It is over. It's done. You know what I mean?
I will say that Mayhem's death, I'm just going to call him Mayhem if that's cool, you guys. Everybody's seen that commercial. His death might be one of the most brutal in the whole film, because he gets beaten up, he gets shot, and then he gets a car rammed into him into like a concrete wall.
Yeah.
And he's the one dude in the movie that hasn't really done shit.
Yeah, he kind of seems like he's the reasonable one within Vigo's group.
Then
but
again,
he
I guess
gets
they're trying to
absolutely
make
pancaked.
some comment on like lawyers who work for the mob. I don't know, but I
Maybe.
was shocked. I'm like, they've put a lot of time into murdering this man, and he's not done anything.
So during the dock scene, we have 10 kills, 2 headshots, 6 killed by a car, 3 by gun, and 1 by knife. Absolutely insane.
How many killed by a car?
6.
So I think 3 of those were just the door.
Yeah.
Probably.
Just the car door.
I thought that was awesome. The fight between John and Viggo, the very last fight, was kind of anticlimactic.
But I think that's because Vigo's 78 years old.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I guess John is shot, stabbed.
Yes.
He's tired. So, I mean, it going on. And according to the directors, during filming, it was actually super cold. So they were filming in the rain while it's super cold in these suits, and they have to do this fight sequence and all that stuff. And I mean, I don't know, I kind of just felt like it was really anticlimactic. But I mean, everything else you get in the movie, whatever.
When Viggo steps up to John Wick with his little dukes up, I just laughed.
Yeah.
I literally just laughed.
It's like, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, like, this is not going to go anywhere. John Wick is going to kill you. I mean, John Wick has now... The only advantage that Viggo had was that John Wick has had his ass beat for 2 straight days.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Viggo, he gets stabbed in the neck, and he's like, "Be seeing you, John." And John says, "Yeah, be seeing you."
Be seeing you.
Thank you. So I think that's a reoccurring line in the franchise, because it also happens in 2, and I can't remember if it happens in 3 because I've only seen it once.
It does.
He tells Common, "Be seeing you," and he tells Ruby Rose, "Be seeing you."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
because they all know they're going to the
language,
same place.
Yeah,
I just got that right now in this chair.
Yeah.
Now that's cool.
The Iron Chef says it to him in 3. That's what I know him the most as. Dude's the Iron Chef.
I'm crying.
All right, so we cut back to where the movie began, right? So we figure out how we got here. John is, again, beaten, shot, stabbed. He falls out of the SUV, and Helen, in the video, he can hear her saying, "Let's go home." You know, and John wakes up in that moment. He starts walking, and John goes to this animal shelter looking for bandages and stuff like that. Finds another adorable dog. I believe it was a pit bull. Right?
Yeah.
Adorable gray pit bull.
And I love that he takes the pit bull, because the pit bull has the sign on his cage, set for termination, which is like what they say when they're going to put a dog down.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Nah, kid, come with me." I love that. I love that he ends the movie saving a dog from, puppy death row.
Yeah. We get the epic music that kicks back in, and John and Dog, because the dog doesn't have a name.
The dog
it's just
never
called,
gets a name.
It's just called Dog. They're walking, and then the screen goes black. John Wick. Amazing film. I do have issues with it.
We know.
Now that I think about it, I would have to put John Wick, the first film, as my least favorite out of the 3.
Yeah. 3, 2, 1 for me.
Yeah, I feel like, exactly like you said, 3, 2, 1. I feel like 3 is perfection, 2 is perfection, 1 is great, but filled with issues, but the overall film is so good, I can look over it.
Yeah, definitely.
I think that something that John Wick 1 has for it that the other 2 movies don't is that element of surprise. Because no one, on 2 levels, no one knew that the movie was going to surprise you with who John Wick was, and that element was really cool. And the second element of surprise is no one knew that the action was going to be that good.
Yeah.
It's so shocking when you see a film that is done so well. And really, like, the plot was pretty good. I mean, it's well thought out. The directors created this whole alternate world that is existing, in the shadows, and pulling that off well was really impressive. I was thoroughly impressed with John Wick. I was mad at myself for taking so long to see it.
It happens. Brad, let me get your final thoughts on John Wick before we talk about the total kill count.
I think that it is a great starting off point for this franchise, and it establishes the characters and the world so well, and in a way that it's so easy for the sequels to expand that world. I love the Continental. I love the concept of it. I cannot wait for the TV show about the Continental.
What channel is this TV show going to be on?
I think it's FX, maybe.
Okay.
I think that's what it is, too.
Well,
I'm not
then
sure.
It'll be a little bit better than if it's on, like, I don't know. What are channels? NBC?
Yeah. I don't think it'll be I know it's a cable channel.
Okay, good.
That it's going to be
I want to see some people get shot in the head.
Yes.
As long as it's not what is it, CBS and ABC, I'm good.
Yeah.
Because you can't even show someone smoking on CBS, much less killing people with, like, headshots and actually seeing it and shit.
Yeah, I think the John Wick franchise might be a bit much for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
I absolutely love this movie. I love this franchise. again, my favorite thing is the world that they built. And in this franchise, you learn so much more about the Continental, the Underground, the High Table, the Barrowmen. You find out about all of these different things that make this world so fucking cool. And it's, to me, the John Wick franchise is just as epic as the MCU to me. Like, the world is so big, the characters are great, they're all entertaining. I absolutely love this movie. Keanu's great. Keanu can never do any wrong. I think he's in terrible movies sometimes. He is great in The Man of Tai Chi.
And Andrea Pilecki is great in this film.
Oh, God. We will agree to disagree on that one.
She's not, though. She's not.
Lola, do you have any other final thoughts on
No,
John Wick?
I'm really glad that you guys shamed me into seeing the film. That is what friends are for. I really do like it. I actually do like John Wick 1 a little bit more than John Wick 2, but I haven't watched John Wick 2 as many times as John Wick 1. I think it's so fresh. It's just crazy how original it feels, even though you keep thinking this isn't original. But it is. But it isn't original. But it is. I have a lot of friends who refuse to see it because of the violence level in it. Mm-hmm. And I understand that. But I do think that it is worth a watch because I think they do something so different and so new with the action and the fight sequences. So I'm glad I have friends like you guys who make me feel constantly bad about not watching films.
Yes, that gets you to watch things. All right, so for the total kill count in John Wick, 77 people killed in this movie.
By just him.
Just him. 49 headshots, 51 shots to the chest.
How many cars?
6 cars total.
6 cars total, 3 car doors.
Yes. Like, that is absolutely insane. And I actually think that John Wick 3 has the bigger kill count. I think the kill count goes down by a couple in 2 and then skyrockets in 3.
There's no way it doesn't. It's not more than that.
Well, in 3, everyone in the world is trying to kill him. So you've got to have a much bigger kill count on that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't just have him out there like, I got 22 people today.
Mm-hmm. All right, guys. This was so much fun. What am I even saying?
The film takes place in 3 days, and it's 77 people.
Yeah. It's crazy. Like, Lola, Brad, thank you guys so much for being on this episode with me. I can't wait to continue with the John Wick series.
Yeah, I'm super excited to talk about 2 and 3 for sure.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be fun.
Yeah. Real quick, I wanted to give a huge shout out to our patrons. We hit our first goal when I started my Patreon. I wanted to be able to have the Patreons help support me with the cost of storage, and we have successfully hit that milestone. You patrons are literally making my dreams come true, and I appreciate you guys from the bottom of my heart, and I just wanted to take this time to say thank you. So to everyone, thank you guys for listening to this episode. Thank you guys for listening to all my episodes. Thank you for listening to this podcast, the Best One, Worst One podcast. And for Lola, Brad, and myself, we will see you guys next time.